I've gone camping since I was a kid. Woods don't scare me. Coyotes, raccoons, owls, after years of hiking and sleeping under the stars. You get used to the sounds. But what I heard that night wasn't any animal. It was me. My friends and I had hiked 6 miles into the backcountry, pitching our tents in a clearing by the river. By midnight, everyone was passed out, their snores rising and falling with the rustle of the leaves. I woke around 2 a.m., groggy, needing to piss. At first I thought that was what had pulled me out of sleep, but then I heard it, a voice, right outside my tent. "Hey, you awake?" My blood ran cold. Because it wasn't just any voice, it was mine. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. It came again, low and deliberate, just inches from the thin nylon separating me from the night. "Come out here. I need to show you something." I didn't move. The zipper shifted slightly, like something brushing against it. The sound of my own voice whispered, "Don't make me ask twice." My first thought was that one of my friends was messing with me. Maybe they'd recorded me earlier, playing it back to scare me. But it wasn't tinny or distorted, it was live. It was me standing out there. I forced myself to whisper, "Knock it off." And then the voice outside whispered back in perfect unison. Same tone, same words, same timing, like an echo that wasn't an echo. I wanted to scream, to wake the others, but I couldn't move. Then I heard it circle the tent. Soft footsteps, slow, careful, dragging the tips of fingers against the fabric. "Come on," it whispered again, my own voice stretching unnaturally. "You're going to miss it." I pressed both hands against my mouth, trying not to breathe, and then it laughed. Not loud, not human. It was my laugh, but hollow, empty, like something had learned the sound, but not the meaning. I don't know how long I sat there, frozen. Minutes, maybe an hour. Eventually, the footsteps stopped. The night went silent again, except for the river. I waited until dawn before daring to unzip the tent. No footprints, no broken branches, nothing disturbed. My friends were still asleep in their tents, oblivious. When I told them what I'd heard, they brushed it off. Dreams, exhaustion, a trick of the woods, but I know what I heard. I know my own voice, and it was out there, waiting for me. I didn't sleep the next night. I couldn't. Every creak of the trees, every gust of wind felt loaded, like the forest itself was holding its breath. I kept replaying the sound of that voice, my voice circling my tent. By morning, my nerves were shot. My friends were in good spirits, laughing while they cooked oatmeal over the camp stove, but I barely touched mine. "What's with you, man? You look like hell," Mark said. I told them again about the voice, about how it wasn't just similar, it was me. They laughed. "Dude, you scared yourself with a dream. Maybe an owl was mimicking you. They can do that, right?" I didn't argue, but I knew what I'd heard, and I knew owls don't laugh. That night I volunteered for first watch by the fire. We weren't exactly in bear country, but it gave me an excuse to stay awake. My friends teased me, calling me night guard, but by midnight they were all zipped into their tents. The fire burned low. I sat with my back against a log, staring into the trees. For hours, nothing happened. Just the steady flow of the river, the occasional crack of a branch, and then, "Hey!" My head snapped up. The voice came from just beyond the firelight. Where the woods grew thick, it was me again. "Don't fall asleep. You'll miss it." The flames sputtered in the wind, and for a moment I thought I saw movement between the trunks. Something pale. "Who's there?" I shouted, though my throat was dry. The voice chuckled. My chuckle. Then silence. I didn't sleep at all that night. By morning, my nerves were frayed raw. I wanted to pack up and leave, but my friends refused. We hiked all the way out here. We're not bailing just because you're spooked. They didn't understand. It wasn't just fear. It was dread, like the woods themselves wanted me to stay. On the third night, I broke. We'd finished dinner, the stars sharp above us, and my friends retreated to their tents. I sat alone by the dying fire, clutching the hatchet we'd used for firewood. That's when it started again. But this time, it wasn't just outside the circle of light, it was behind me, right behind me. "Don't look," the voice whispered, my voice low and urgent. "If you look, it'll know you can hear it." I froze. "Stand up. Walk into the trees now." I didn't move. The fire crackled. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then, from the opposite side of the clearing, "Don't listen to him." "That's not me." My head whipped around. Another me, another voice, coming from the shadows. I was trapped between two versions of myself. I don't know how I found the strength, but I bolted for my tent, yanking the zipper shut and burying myself in my sleeping bag like a child hiding from monsters. But the voices followed, two of them, circling, arguing. "Come out here." "No, stay inside. He's lying to you. Don't trust him." Both were mine. Both were me. And then they began to laugh together, perfectly in sync. The sound scraped against my skull until I wanted to tear my ears off. When dawn came, I stumbled out, pale and shaking. My friends were already packing. "Dude, we're cutting the trip short," Mark said. "You look like you're about to die." I didn't argue. Relief flooded me as we hiked out mile by mile until the trailhead came into view. I thought it was over. That night back in my apartment, I finally let myself relax. I locked the door, shut the blinds, collapsed into bed. The city sounds outside lulled me. Cars, sirens. Normal life. I must have dozed off until... "Hey." My eyes snapped open. The voice came from the living room. My voice. Closer than ever. "You shouldn't have left." I don't know how long I sat in bed, paralyzed. Eventually, I forced myself to stand, inching toward the door. The apartment was dark, silent. Then, laughter, my laughter, from inside the closet. I reached for the knob with a trembling hand, heart hammering, and that's when I heard it. Breathing. Slow. Heavy. In perfect rhythm with my own. That's where I stopped writing, because even now as I sit here typing this, I can hear it again. Not outside, not in the woods. Here, right behind me, breathing, waiting for me to turn around. I tried to convince myself it wasn't real. That night in the apartment, sitting frozen in my bed, I repeated it over and over like a prayer. It's not real. It's not real. But the breathing didn't stop, it stayed steady. Heavy. Too close. I forced myself to turn, every muscle screaming not to. The closet door was cracked open, and inside, I saw a sliver of pale skin, my own face just barely visible in the dark, grinning at me through the gap. I slammed the door shut, dragging a chair in front of it. I stayed awake until morning, jumping at every creak of the building. When the sun rose, I told myself I had dreamed it, hallucinated it. Exhaustion does things to the brain, but when I checked the closet, the chair was pushed aside, the door wide open, and inside, nothing. Not empty, though. The smell of earth clung to the air. Damp soil, rotting leaves, like the woods had followed me home. I tried to go on with my life. Went to work, saw friends, pretended everything was fine. But the voice didn't stop. It whispered from the shower drain. From the hallway when the lights flickered, it laughed from the stairwell late at night. Always my own voice. Always just out of sight. Last week I finally broke. I packed a bag, drove 3 hours out of the city and checked into a motel. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I thought maybe if I got far enough away, it couldn't follow. That night I turned off my phone, locked the door, and crawled into bed, and sometime around midnight, I sat up, heart hammering. The voice came from outside the window. My voice. You really thought you could leave me out there? The glass rattled. The curtains shifted. Though the window was shut tight, I pressed my back against the headboard, shaking, and then, through the wall behind me, another voice, my voice. You're mine now. I don't know how long I stayed there, frozen between them. Eventually, they stopped. But the silence was worse, because I knew they hadn't gone. They were just waiting. And when I finally looked in the bathroom mirror the next morning, I saw it for just a second. My reflection's lips moved before mine did, smiling. That was the last straw. I'm writing this now because I don't think I have much time. They don't just sound like me anymore. They're becoming me, piece by piece. And one of these nights, when I finally close my eyes, I think I'll wake up outside calling to myself, asking to be let in. Story 2. The Other Campers. We weren't supposed to camp there. The park's website clearly marked the area as closed to overnight visitors, but my friends and I, two couples from college, when we're always chasing the thrill of doing something we shouldn't, we'd heard stories about the woods out past the river, weird echoes, campers hearing their own voices. It sounded like the perfect dare. We drove up Friday evening, parked off an old logging road, and hiked in at sunset. By the time we reached the clearing, the sky had turned violet and the air was heavy with pine. We set up 2 tents side by side. Sarah and I in one, Josh and Ellie in the other. We built a fire, roasted hot dogs, and laughed about ghost stories we'd read online. People just freak themselves out, Josh said, waving his beer. There's nothing out here but trees. He was wrong. That night around 1 a.m. I woke to the sound of someone unzipping our tent. Sarah was still asleep beside me. I reached for my flashlight, heart pounding, but the zipper didn't move again. I waited, holding my breath, then I heard it. My voice. Hey, you awake? I froze. It came from just outside the nylon wall. Come out. I need to show you something. I shook Sarah awake. Did you hear that? She blinked at me groggily. Hear what? The voice came again. Her eyes went wide. That's you. We both held still, staring at the faint bulge of a shadow moving across the tent fabric. It chuckled softly. My chuckle. Then it whispered, "Don't wake the others." I unzipped the tent an inch, shining the flashlight outside. Nothing but trees. The fire had burned down to embers. Josh's tent was still zipped. Josh? I called softly from the woods 30 feet away. My voice answered. Yeah? Sarah grabbed my arm. Don't. But it was too late. Josh's tent unzipped and he crawled out, rubbing his eyes. What's going on? Before I could speak, Ellie stumbled out behind him. And then from the opposite side of the clearing, a perfect copy of her voice whispered, Josh. He turned toward the trees. Ellie? The real Ellie clutched his sleeve. I'm right here. From the darkness, no, you're not. The woods erupted in whispers, dozens of them, all our voices overlapping, echoing through the trees, laughing. Come here. This way. You're lost. We backed up until our heels hit the fire pit. Sarah was crying. Josh had his arm around Ellie, but his knuckles were white. "What the hell is this?" he muttered. Then one of the voices, my voice, I shouted from the darkness, "Run!" We bolted, no plan, no direction, just away from that clearing. Branches whipped my face as we tore through the underbrush. The voices followed, not behind us, beside us. In front of us, our own words thrown back at us in perfect tone. "Faster! Over here! They're coming!" It was impossible to tell which were ours and which were theirs. After what felt like an hour, we collapsed in a ravine, gasping. I think we lost them," Josh wheezed. But as soon as he spoke, his own voice whispered from the darkness, "No, you didn't," Sarah screamed. I swung my flashlight wildly, and that's when I saw it. Something crouched between the trees. Its skin was pale, almost translucent. Its limbs too long, its face wrong, but its mouth was shaped exactly like mine, and when it opened, my voice came out. "Why are you running?" Another one appeared behind it, this one with Ellie's mouth, then Josh's, then Sarah's. 4 of them, standing in a half circle, smiling with mouths that weren't theirs. We scrambled up the ravine, clawing at roots and rocks. My flashlight slipped and tumbled into the dark, breaking on a stone. Behind us, the voices laughed again. Then, silence. I risked a glance back. They were gone. We didn't stop running until dawn. Somehow we found the old logging road and our car. We threw ourselves inside, locked the doors, and drove without speaking. By the time we hit cell service, we'd agreed. We wouldn't tell anyone what we saw. People would think we were crazy, but we knew. And that night, back at my apartment, as I finally started to drift off, I heard it, from the hallway. My voice. Still awake? Story 3. The Rangers Logbook Entry 1, May 3rd. They've got me on backcountry patrol again. Just me, my truck, and 40,000 acres of forest to keep an eye on. Most of the job is routine. Hikers leaving trash, kids lighting campfires where they shouldn't. But lately, there have been reports, whispers in the woods, echoes that don't belong, campers insisting they heard themselves out there. Normally, I'd chalk it up to exhaustion, paranoia, too much booze by the fire, but the frequency of calls is going up. And I've been in these woods long enough to know when something isn't just kids spooking themselves. Entry 2, May 5. Got a report from a couple this morning. Said they woke up to the sound of their own voices outside their tent. Woman was hysterical, wouldn't even get out of the car. When I asked what happened, the guy said, "It sounded like us." But it wasn't us. They wanted us to come outside. The kicker? He said when they tried to leave, the voices started arguing with each other. His voice telling them to run, her voice telling them to stay. I didn't write that part in the official report. Entry 3, May 7th. Checked out a campsite near the river. Found the fire pit still warm, tents abandoned, sleeping bags slashed open from the inside. No sign of the campers. But I did find something else. A handprint in the dirt. Bigger than any human's. Fingers too long, and beside it a smaller one identical to mine. Entry 4, May 9. Heard it last night. I was doing rounds near the ridge when I stopped to piss. The trees were still, no wind. Then clear as day, my own voice behind me. "Everything okay out here?" I spun around. Nothing but trees. Then from deeper in the woods, "Need backup?" It was my radio call sign. My own tone, but my radio was clipped to my belt, silent. Entry 5, May 11th. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I hear them. Not coyotes, not owls, me whispering from the tree line. Last night, they called my name, over and over. The worst part? They don't just sound like me anymore. They know things I've never said out loud. Entry 6, May 14th. Saw one. It was crouched by the outpost when I came back from patrol. Skin pale as birch bark. Limbs bent wrong. But the face, Christ, it looked like me, not perfect. Like a reflection in rippling water. It smiled when I shined the light on it, and in my own voice it whispered, "You're tired. Let me take over." I fired a warning shot. It didn't flinch, just melted back into the trees. Entry 7, May 18th. They're closer now, circling the outpost at night, knocking on the doors, tapping on the windows. I boarded them up, but I still hear them. Sometimes it's one voice. Sometimes it's dozens, all me laughing. Entry 8, May 22. I tried calling for backup. Radio cut out the second I said my name. But then my own voice came back through the static. "Don't worry, we're already here." I smashed the radio. Didn't matter. They whispered it through the vents that night anyway. Entry 9, May 27. I'm losing time. Woke up yesterday with mud on my boots, pine needles in my bed. I don't remember leaving the outpost. In the mirror, my eyes don't always move when I want them to. Sometimes my reflection lags, smiling a split second after I stop. Entry 10, May 31. They're inside. I don't know how, but I hear them in the walls, multiple versions of me, talking, laughing. One whispered this morning, "Almost done. Just one more piece. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know." Final entry, June 2nd. If anyone finds this logbook, don't go into the woods. Don't camp by the river. Don't answer if you hear your own voice, because it isn't you. It never was. And once they know your sound, they don't stop. Not until they've taken everything. I can hear one behind me now. I'm not going to turn around because I already know what I'll see. Me, smiling.